There's a brutal truth no one tells you. The words you use with women are sabotaging you in ways you can't even imagine. While you think you're doing everything right, being kind, polite, interesting, she's already mentally categorized you as just another one like the others. You know what's even more frustrating? You see guys who seem to put in less effort, who aren't necessarily more handsome or successful than you, but who somehow manage to create genuine attraction, real desire, while you're stuck in the friend zone or simply forgotten. The difference isn't that they're special, it's that they know something you haven't yet discovered. And what you're about to learn in the next few minutes can literally change the game for you permanently. We're not talking about cheap tricks or dirty manipulation. We're talking about understanding how the female mind really works, how certain words activate specific neurological triggers that generate automatic attraction. It's almost unfair when you learn this because you gain an advantage that 90% of men will never have. The inconvenient reality is that most of what you've been taught about communicating with women is completely wrong. Romantic movies lied. Your mother's advice was wrong. That idea that just be yourself and the right person will appear is a fairy tale that keeps good men single for years. The stark truth, based on neuroscience and evolutionary psychology, is that there are specific communication patterns that work. And there are patterns that destroy your chances before you even realize it. And here's something that will sound controversial but needs to be said. Women aren't attracted to nice guys who agree with everything, who are always available, who hand everything over on a silver platter. They're attracted to men who understand the game of emotional tension, who know how to create curiosity, who demonstrate value without having to shout about it. If this bothers you, great. It means you're about to break limiting beliefs that have kept you stuck until now. What you'll discover here are 7 specific phrases, scientifically calibrated to activate the most powerful attraction triggers in the female brain. This isn't abstract theory. These are practical tools that work in the real world, with real women, in real situations. And the best part, you can start using them today and see results that will surprise you. Before we dive into these challenging topics that will completely change your game, subscribe to the channel now and activate the notification bell, because what you're going to learn here isn't something I want to get lost among millions of random videos you watch and forget. This needs to be recorded. It needs to be always accessible for you to go back to, review, and truly master. Furthermore, those who subscribe now become part of a select group of men who are truly committed to evolving, to escaping mediocrity and achieving real results. So do it now. It takes 2 seconds, and then come back here with me because we're going to start the challenge. And if you're subscribed to the channel, we have a bonus in the first pinned comment. There's a secret few men know, but it completely transforms how they connect with women. It's not about physical appearance. It's not about money in the bank, and it's definitely not about following ready-made formulas that everyone has already tried. It's about understanding that communication functions as a real tool of power, one that moves mountains when used with surgical precision. Machiavelli, the thinker who revolutionized the understanding of human influence, knew that the right words at the right time can open doors that brute force could never reach. And when we talk about attraction, this becomes even more true. Most guys get stuck repeating the same patterns they learned watching romantic movies or copying what their friend does without realizing they're playing a completely different game than they imagine. The problem isn't their intentions, but their lack of understanding of how communication really works in the universe of female attraction. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, teaches something fundamental. You need to work with what is, not with what should be. And the stark reality is that 90% of men fail miserably at communication because they try to be who they are not, say what they think they should say, or simply copy stock phrases that sound completely artificial. Have you noticed how most guys use the same generic compliments? You're beautiful. Your eyes are incredible. I've never met anyone like you. Phrases she's heard literally hundreds of times from dozens of different guys. It's like trying to conquer a city using the same strategies that have failed 1,000 times before. The issue isn't that these phrases are bad in themselves, but that they've completely lost their power to impact. It's like using a rusty sword in battle. The tool still exists, but it no longer fulfills its function. What separates men who truly create genuine attraction from those who remain in the friend zone or are simply ignored is the ability to use words that touch something deeper, that activate specific emotional triggers that most don't even know exist. Here's the good news. Small changes in how you communicate can yield absolutely stunning results. We're talking about subtle, almost imperceptible adjustments that act as powerful levers in the dynamics of attraction. Think of it as learning the exact pressure points in a negotiation. When you know where to touch, everything changes. The calculated use of force in this context means understanding that it's not about talking more, being funnier, or trying to impress at all costs. It's about saying the right things at the right times, creating emotional impacts that resonate in her mind long after the conversation is over. Decisions based on real human nature show that women respond to specific communication patterns that activate parts of the brain linked to attraction, curiosity, and emotional connection. And when you master these patterns, when you understand the mechanics behind the words that really work, you gain an advantage that most men will never have. The difference between failure and success here isn't in grand revolutions, but in small, strategic adjustments that produce disproportionately large effects. The female brain processes communication in a radically different way than the male brain, and ignoring this is like trying to play chess using poker rules. Neuroscience studies show that women activate much broader brain areas during conversations, processing not only the literal content of words, but also the emotional subtext, the tone, and the intention behind each sentence. While men tend to be more direct and objective, focusing on explicit meaning, women pick up layers of information that go completely unnoticed by most guys. It's as if they're listening to a complete song, while most men only pay attention to the main melody. Machiavelli deeply understood that knowing the true nature of people is the first step to any successful influence strategy. And when it comes to attraction, understanding how her brain really works is absolutely crucial. It's not about cheap manipulation or dirty tricks, but about communicating in a way that resonates with how she naturally processes information and emotions. Virtue and fortune, concepts representing personal skill and favorable circumstances, apply perfectly here. You can have all the luck in the world, be in the right place at the right time, but without the ability to communicate effectively, nothing will happen. On the other hand, when you master the correct neurological triggers, you can create opportunities where none existed before. Research in evolutionary psychology reveals that certain words and phrases activate automatic responses in the female brain, linked to survival and reproduction mechanisms that have been shaped over thousands of years. For example, subtle demonstrations of confidence activate the nucleus accumbens, the brain region linked to pleasure and reward. Phrases that create mystery and curiosity stimulate the release of dopamine, the neurotransmitter of desire and pursuit. Words that generate genuine emotional connection activate oxytocin, the hormone of emotional bonding. When you understand this brain chemistry, you realize that attraction is not random. It is a predictable biological response to specific stimuli. The end justifies the means, but here the end is not manipulation, it's authentic communication that works with real human nature, not against it. Think about this. When you say you're beautiful, her brain processes it superficially without creating any significant emotional imprint. It's empty information, without context, without specificity. Now, when you say something that reveals genuine observation, that shows you noticed something unique about her that others didn't, completely different areas of the brain are activated. The amygdala registers emotional relevance, the hippocampus encodes memory more deeply, and the prefrontal cortex begins to process you as someone different from the others. Constant adaptability is fundamental because every woman is unique, but the neurological principles are universal. It's like learning music. The notes are the same, but the way you combine them creates completely different melodies. When you speak in a way that works with her biology, not against it, attraction ceases to be luck and becomes a predictable result of conscious actions. There's an extremely fine line between showing vulnerability and appearing weak, and most men have no idea where that line is. They either shut down completely, creating an emotional wall that prevents any real connection, or they open up too much, spilling insecurities and needs within the first few minutes of conversation. Both extremes instantly destroy attraction. Machiavelli taught that it's better to be feared than loved, but in the context of modern attraction, the perfect balance lies in being respected while remaining human. The question of controlled vulnerability is a surgical tool that creates deep emotional connection without triggering any alarms of neediness or weakness. It works because it activates the principle of emotional reciprocity. When you open up strategically, she instinctively feels safe to do the same. But here's the secret that few understand. It's not about revealing your problems or insecurities. It's about showing that you're human enough to have deep thoughts and reflections. The phrase works like this. You know that feeling when you meet someone and it feels like you've known each other for ages? Do you believe that, or do you think it's just movie talk? Consider the engineering behind it. First, you're not making a direct statement about her or about you both. You're creating a space for shared reflection. Second, you demonstrate that you think about human connections more deeply than most, which automatically sets you apart. Third, and this is crucial, you end with an open-ended question that invites genuine dialogue, not an automatic yes or no answer. The calculated use of force here means knowing exactly how much to reveal and how much to keep hidden. You're not declaring your feelings for her, which would be pressure. You're creating an emotional field where that possibility exists without being explicit. It's like lighting a small fire on a cold day. People naturally gravitate towards the warmth without you having to ask. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, shows that this approach works because it deals with how women are truly attracted, not with romantic fairy tales. In practice, when you use this phrase, several things happen simultaneously in her brain. First, you activate what psychologists call the accelerated familiarity effect, the feeling of rapid intimacy that occurs when someone shares deeper thoughts. Second, you position yourself as someone emotionally intelligent, who thinks consciously about human relationships. Third, you create a pause in the typical superficial conversation, elevating everything to a more meaningful level. The appearance of virtue here is not about pretending to be perfect, but about demonstrating genuine emotional maturity. Decisions based on real human nature reveal that people connect through shared vulnerabilities, not through masks of perfection. When you master this phrase, you're not just asking a question, you're creating a gateway to a type of conversation that most men never manage to reach. Generic compliments are like inflated currency. They've completely lost their value from being used indiscriminately. When you tell a beautiful woman she's gorgeous, you're not wrong, but you're saying exactly what the last 50 guys have said. It's like showing up at an auction and making the same offer everyone else has already made. You simply disappear into the crowd. Machiavelli understood that to make a real impact, you need to do what others don't do, see what others don't see. Most men compliment the obvious because it's easy, safe, and requires no mental effort. But precisely for that reason, these compliments create absolutely no emotional mark. Think about it. She already knows she's beautiful. She's heard it 1,000 times and probably doesn't even register it anymore when she hears it again. It's background noise, not music. The compliment that really works, that creates genuine impact and makes you stand out completely, is the one that reveals you truly paid attention, that you saw something in her that she herself values but is rarely recognized. The secret lies in praising choices, not characteristics. Instead of, "You have beautiful eyes," try something like, "I love the way you gesture when you're excited talking about something that interests you. You can see that you really put your heart into things." See the difference. In the first case, you're commenting on something she doesn't control, something genetic that anyone with functioning eyes can perceive. In the second, you're acknowledging something about her personality, about how she expresses herself in the world, something that required real observation and genuine attention. Virtù and fortuna meet here. You create your own luck by being observant and perceptive. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, shows that women infinitely value being seen for their essence more than being admired for their outer appearance. Another practical example, instead of "you're intelligent," say, "It's impressive how you connect different ideas when you're explaining something. You have a very unique mind." Notice how the second compliment is specific, detailed, and demonstrates that you were truly present and attentive. The calculated use of force means knowing that one well-placed compliment is worth more than 10 empty compliments. Decisions based on real human nature reveal that people feel truly valued when they are recognized for things they chose to be or develop, not by genetic accident. When you compliment the way she treats waiters, the passion she shows when talking about her work, the unique way she laughs at absurd situations, you are doing something radically different. You are saying, "I saw you. I really saw you. And what I saw was special." This creates an emotional connection that physical compliments will never be able to create. The appearance of virtue here is replaced by real virtue. You genuinely observed and appreciated something unique in her. Better to be feared than loved, but in the game of attraction, better to be memorable than forgettable. And compliments that reveal genuine attention are absolutely unforgettable because they touch on a fundamental human need: to be seen, understood, and valued for who we really are, not just for how we look. Sexual tension doesn't arise from excessive gentleness or agreeing with everything she says, but from the emotional friction created by someone who challenges, playfully teases, and maintains a delightful balance between interest and independence. Most men make the fatal mistake of being too predictable, too well-behaved, too agreeable. They think that by being the nice guy who never contradicts, never provokes, never creates any kind of tension, they will win her heart. The reality is exactly the opposite. Machiavelli knew that it's better to be feared than loved when it comes to respect and assertiveness. And in the context of attraction, intelligent provocation generates an intoxicating mix of curiosity, challenge, and desire. The verbal push-pull technique works because it creates an emotional roller coaster. You demonstrate interest, pull, then pull back a little with a provocation, push, creating a cycle that keeps her brain constantly engaged. It's like dancing. You move forward, retreat, create rhythm, and this dynamic is infinitely more interesting than standing still. Intelligent teasing isn't insults disguised as jokes. It's not being a jerk and calling it confidence. It's the difference between "you're kind of weird" a crude insult, and you're definitely not like other people I know. I haven't decided yet if that's a good or bad thing. Teasing that generates curiosity and tension. Here's the engineering behind it. You acknowledge her uniqueness, pull, but add a layer of playful uncertainty, push. This activates what psychologists call the curiosity gap. She's thinking, wait, what did he mean by that? Is he interested or not? I need to find out more. The calculated use of force here is about perfect dosage. Too much push and you seem disinterested or arrogant. Too much pull and you seem needy. Balance is the art. Another practical example. She says something funny, and instead of laughing and agreeing with everything, you reply, "Okay, that was funny. I'll give you a 7 out of 10 on that joke." It's light, fun, but it creates that spark of, "Wait a minute, who are you to judge me?" that generates delicious tension. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, shows that women aren't attracted to men who behave like unconditional fans or admirers. They're attracted to men who have their own standards, who aren't desperate for approval, who can maintain their own frame even in the presence of a beautiful woman. Intelligent provocation communicates exactly that. Decisions based on real human nature reveal that the human brain values what it needs to earn more than what is handed to it on a silver platter. When you provoke intelligently, you become an interesting challenge, not a guaranteed prize. Constant adaptability is fundamental because each woman responds differently. Some love more direct provocations, others prefer subtlety. But the principle remains. You want her to think about you when you're not together, to wonder about you, to replay the conversation in her head. And that's exactly what a good provocation does. It plants a seed in her mind that continues to grow long after the interaction ends. Genuine male confidence doesn't need to be shouted, doesn't need to prove itself every second, doesn't need external validation to exist. It's simply there, solid as a rock, and it's felt, not explained. Most men confuse confidence with arrogance and end up sounding like insecure guys trying to compensate for their weaknesses with verbal exhibitionism. They talk too much about their achievements, about how awesome they are, about everything they've done, as if they need to convince the woman and themselves that they have value. Machiavelli deeply understood that true power doesn't need to be constantly announced. It reveals itself through natural actions and positioning. Subtle leadership assertion works because it communicates status and masculinity without any apparent effort, without forcing things, without trying to impress. It's like the difference between a real leader who enters a room and everyone naturally pays attention versus someone who needs to bang on the table to be heard. One has natural authority, the other is trying to manufacture it. The magic phrase here is something like, "Let's do it this way," or "I have a better idea." Sounds too simple? That's exactly the beauty of it. When you're deciding what to do, where to go, how to solve something, and you simply take the lead in the situation naturally, without asking permission, without hesitating, you're communicating something incredibly powerful. You're saying, "I make decisions, I lead situations. You can relax because I have this under control." This activates something primal in the female brain linked to security and provision. The feeling of being with someone who knows what they're doing. The calculated use of force means doing this without being controlling or authoritarian. You're not giving orders, you're offering direction. There's a huge difference between "we're going to do X now," controlling, and "how about we do X? I think it will be perfect," inviting leadership. In the second case, you're still taking the lead, but in a way that includes her in the decision. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, reveals that women respond positively to men who demonstrate leadership ability because it signals overall life competence. Decisions based on real human nature show that female attraction is deeply connected to the perception of security, not necessarily physical security, but emotional and directional security. When you subtly assert leadership, you are saying without words, "I know where I'm going. I have a plan. You can trust me." Practical examples. Instead of constantly asking, "What do you want to do? Is everything all right with you? Do you prefer this or that?" which communicates insecurity. You say, "I know an amazing place. You'll love it. Let's go." Virtue and fortuna meet when you have the ability to make decisions and the circumstance offers opportunities to demonstrate it. Avoiding being hated means never being tyrannical or inflexible. If she has a strong preference, you listen and adjust. But the general pattern is you in the position of the one who leads, not the one who is constantly seeking approval at every step. The human brain has an almost irresistible compulsion to fill in information gaps. And when you learn to use this to your advantage, you become absolutely unforgettable. Think about how many times you've started watching a series and been glued to the screen because each episode ends with a cliffhanger that leaves you dying of curiosity to know what comes next. This same mechanism works in attraction, but most men do the exact opposite. They give everything away on a silver platter, tell their entire life story in the first 10 minutes, leave no mystery, no curiosity, no reason for her to want to discover more. Machiavelli understood that maintaining a certain level of unpredictability is fundamental to maintaining people's interest. When you are completely predictable, when she already knows everything about you, when there is nothing left to discover, interest naturally diminishes. It's like reading a book where you already know the ending. It loses all its charm. The curiosity trigger works by creating open loops in her mind, small unanswered questions that continue to echo long after you part ways. The phrase works like this. You're talking about something and suddenly you say something like, "Oh, that reminds me of a crazy story that happened to me in place, situation, but I'll tell you about it in person." It loses all the charm in a message. Or, "You seem like the kind of person who would love specific experience. There's a connection to something I noticed about you, but I need to get to know you better to be sure." See the engineering behind it. First, you plant a seed of curiosity. You mention something interesting but didn't reveal it. Second, you create a logical reason for a future meeting or deeper conversation. Third, you demonstrate that you have layers, that there's more to you to be discovered. The calculated use of force here is knowing exactly when to reveal and when to withhold information. You're not being forced or theatrically mysterious. You're simply managing the flow of information strategically. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, shows that this method works because it engages with the real psychology of how interest is maintained over time. Decisions based on real human nature reveal that the brain releases dopamine not when it gets the answer, but during the process of searching for the answer. This is why anticipation is often more pleasurable than achievement. When you create these open loops, her brain literally becomes addicted to filling in those gaps. She will think about you while she's working. She'll find herself replaying the conversation. She'll be curious to know more. Constant adaptability is crucial because you need to calibrate the level of mystery. Too much, and you seem to be hiding something or being deliberately evasive. Too little, and you lose the power of the trigger. Practical examples. "I have a theory about you, but I need to test it before I speak." Or, "You remind me of someone I knew, but in a totally different way. It's hard to explain." These phrases create an information void that her brain will obsessively work to fill, keeping you constantly at the forefront of her mind. Generic validation is like hugging someone while looking at your phone. The gesture exists, but there's no real presence, no genuine connection, no true emotional impact. Most men throw out empty validations thinking they're creating a connection, when in reality they're just making meaningless noise. Phrases like, "you're special," "you're different," "you're amazing," say absolutely nothing because they're applicable to literally anyone. Machiavelli understood that actions and words need real substance to generate real effect. Specific validation works because it demonstrates something that generic validation never can, that you really paid attention, that you saw something unique in them that deserves to be recognized, that your validation isn't automatic or distributed to just anyone. It's the difference between receiving a generic birthday gift versus receiving something that shows the person truly knows you, your tastes, your essence. One is forgotten in a week, the other is treasured forever. The magic lies in the observable and specific details. Instead of, "you're interesting, try," the way you talked about specific situation and connected it to another situation shows that you process the world in a very unique way. Most people don't make those connections. See what happened there? You didn't just validate, you demonstrated surgical observation. You captured a specific moment in the conversation, recognized a pattern in her thinking, and verbalized something she probably feels about herself, but is rarely acknowledged by others. The calculated use of force here is about precision, not quantity. One well-placed specific validation is worth infinitely more than 10 generic validations. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, shows that people don't want to be validated by superficial characteristics that everyone can see. They want to be seen in their essence, in what makes them truly unique, but goes unnoticed by most. Decisions based on real human nature reveal that we all have aspects of our personality that we deeply value, but which rarely receive recognition. When you identify and validate these aspects, you create a profound emotional connection. Practical examples. I noticed how your energy completely changes when you talk about her passion. Your eyes literally light up. That's rare. Most people don't have anything that makes them shine like that. Or, the way you handled that difficult situation earlier, remaining calm and empathetic even when angry, shows an emotional maturity that is hard to find. Do you see the difference? You are validating specific behaviors, conscious choices, character traits that she has worked to develop. Virtù and Fortuna meet when you have the keen perception to notice these details and the ability to articulate them clearly. The appearance of virtue is replaced by genuine virtue. You truly saw it, truly understood it, and this creates a level of connection that generic validations will never achieve. Projecting futures together is one of the most powerful tools of attraction, but it needs to be done with the lightness of someone planting a seed, not with the weight of someone pressuring for commitment. Most men err in one of two extremes. Either they never mention anything about the future, keeping everything so casual that she wonders if he's really interested, or they go to the other extreme and start talking about serious relationships, children, and marriage on the second date, completely scaring her away. Machiavelli taught about the perfect balance between action and timing, doing the right thing at the right time. A well-executed future projection works because it activates her romantic side without creating pressure, because it plants the idea of you two together in future experiences in a natural and organic way, without forcing commitments or heavy expectations. It's like when you watch the trailer for a movie that looks amazing, you already start imagining yourself watching it. You already create positive expectations. You already want that future to arrive. The projection does exactly that in her mind. The technique works like this. You're talking about something she likes, and you naturally insert, "We need to do this together sometime," or, "When we go to place, you'll need to show me how that thing you talked about works." Notice the subtlety? You're not asking for a commitment. You're not putting pressure on her. You're simply naturally assuming there will be a future where you'll share experiences together. This creates what psychologists call Positive temporal anchoring. Her brain starts imagining future scenarios with you, and the more she imagines, the more real it becomes emotionally. The calculated use of force here is about dosage and naturalness. You don't keep repeating it all the time, but release these projections strategically at moments where they make contextual sense. Politics guided by reality, not by ideals, shows that this approach works because it works with how romantic connections actually form, through the gradual construction of a shared narrative. Decisions based on real human nature reveal that the human brain loves stories, especially stories where we are protagonists alongside someone interesting. When you project futures together, you are co-creating a story where you are both the main characters. Practical examples. She mentions she loves a specific band. You say, "When that band comes to play here, we need to go." You probably know songs I don't even know exist. It'll be like a private lesson. Or she talks about loving the beach. You reply, "In the summer we need to have that classic all-day beach trip, the kind where you stay until the sun goes down. I bet you're the type who doesn't want to leave the water." See how light, fun, specific and vivid a mental image it creates. Constant adaptability is essential because every woman has different rhythms. Some open up quickly to these projections, others need more time. Virtue and fortuna meet when you have the sensitivity to read the right moment and the ability to make these projections sound natural, not forced. Avoiding being hated means never pressuring, never creating obligation, always maintaining the lightness of an exciting possibility, not a heavy expectation. You can master all the previous phrases. You can have the sharpest communication in the world. You can create intense attraction and deep connection. But there's a single mistake that destroys it all in a matter of seconds. And the worst part is that most men make this mistake exactly when they think they're doing well, when they feel she's interested, when they realize the attraction is happening. It's at this critical moment that they do the worst thing possible. They completely change their behavior. Suddenly, that confident guy who teased intelligently, who maintained mystery, who naturally led, disappears. In his place emerges a needy guy who texts all the time, who constantly asks for validation, who completely loses the frame he had built. Machiavelli warned about the importance of consistency. When you drastically change your behavior based on circumstances, you lose credibility and respect. The end justifies the means, but only if you maintain consistency from beginning to end. The fatal mistake has a name: behavioral incongruence. It's when the guy who was being challenging and interesting suddenly turns into a needy puppy. It's when that man who demonstrated having his own life, his own interests, his own standards, suddenly puts his entire existence at her service. He cancels appointments to be available whenever she wants, responds to messages in seconds as if he were on call, agrees with everything she says, loses the ability to provoke or create any tension because he's afraid of ruining her. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, shows that this change in behavior communicates a devastating message. Everything you've seen so far was performance. The real me is insecure and needy. And women have an absolutely impeccable radar for detecting this. The calculated use of force means maintaining the same energy, the same essence, the same communication patterns that generated the initial attraction. Decisions based on real human nature reveal that people value consistency. When you are predictable at your core, not to be confused with being boring, you generate trust and security. The solution is simple in theory, challenging in practice. Continue being exactly who you were when she became interested in you. If you were teasing, keep teasing. If you had your own busy life, maintain that. If you weren't available 24/7, don't be available now. Constant adaptability doesn't mean changing who you are based on her mood or the relationship status. It means adapting tactics while keeping your core strategy intact. The appearance of virtue here would be feigning disinterest when you are interested. That's cheap manipulation. What we're talking about is genuinely maintaining your standards, your life, your essence. Virtù and fortuna balance each other when you have the inner discipline not to sabotage your own attraction with excessive neediness. Better to be feared than loved here translates to better to maintain her respect through consistency than to try to secure her love through desperate availability. Avoiding being hated means not disappearing completely or playing manipulative games, but maintaining the healthy balance that created attraction from the beginning. When you maintain your essence, when you remain congruent with who you've always been, the attraction not only endures, it deepens and transforms into something genuine and lasting. Now you hold in your hands something that most men will spend their entire lives without discovering. 7 phrases that aren't magic, not cheap tricks, but powerful psychological tools based on how attraction really works. The question remains, what are you going to do with this? Are you going to let this knowledge die here, stored in your mind as just another interesting piece of information that you never apply? Or are you going to have the courage to step out of your comfort zone and test these phrases in the real world? Because here's the stark truth: knowledge without action is completely useless. You can know everything about swimming, but if you never jump in the water, you'll keep drowning. So I challenge you, in the next 24 hours, use at least one of these phrases in a real conversation. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to go exactly as planned. The important thing is to start training this muscle, to start seeing in practice how small changes in communication generate drastically different results. And here's a question you need to answer with brutal honesty. How many opportunities have you missed because you didn't know how to communicate the right way? How many incredible women have passed through your life and you simply couldn't create that connection, that attraction that would make a difference? How many times have you watched from afar while another guy whom you knew wasn't better than you won her over precisely because he understood the game of communication? It hurts to think about it, I know. But that pain can be the fuel that drives you towards real change. You are one decision away from completely transforming your results with women. The decision to take this seriously, to study, to practice, to become someone who masters the art of seductive communication. Or you can continue doing what you've always done and have the same mediocre results you've always had. The choice is yours. It always has been. But now, you can no longer use the excuse that you didn't know. You do know. Knowledge has been given to you. What's missing is execution. If you want to continue diving into this universe, if you want to learn even more about the psychology of attraction, high-impact male communication, and strategies that really work in the real world, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Because the content coming up will give you even more powerful tools to completely master this game. It's not about manipulating anyone, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. A man who knows how to communicate, who understands the dynamics of attraction, who is no longer a hostage to luck or chance. It's about taking control of your love life once and for all. So, let's go, subscribe, activate notifications, and come with me on this transformative journey. See you in the next video, where we'll unravel even more secrets that separate average men from magnetic men. Until then, go ahead and apply what you've learned. The real world is waiting for you.